Good afternoon. This is Julian, and as you can see, I've got a bandsaw sawmill. I saw my own lumber here, and one of the problems I've had over the years is with the slabs, because as you know, they got bark on each side. So I come up with a little contraption of some sort of edger that will take those flitches off. Anyway, what I'll do is I'll turn the camera around and show you my edger. Now it's not at all what you expected, I'm sure. However, what we have is slabs, as you can see, bark, and we want to cut those out. So I was thinking one early morning how I'm going to do that. And I thought, well, I need a straight edge. So I built a straight edge. What I got here on my table is a 3x6 or 3x5, whatever it is. And on it, I bolted a, what is that? 2x2 angle iron. Yes, and that would give me my straight edge. All right. Now you can see here, this is how I bolted it on there. We'll come to these hinges in a minute. All right, so here we go. Now sorry about that. This is my first time, so you'll have to forgive me. Skill saw, I use a skill saw for this. It's 1.5 inches from here to this edge. So what I usually do, and you know, after a while you could do this pretty darn quick. 1.5 inches from this face to where my cut's gonna be. 1.5 inches, right about there. And then I got my stopper block there. Okay, check that again. And again. All right, so now we're gonna make our first cut. Oops, cable needs to be adjusted. That's about right there. Now the board will stay there so long as you put your hand on it. I should have to go in just a touch. There we go. All right. First cut. There's my flitch. I throw that in my flitch wagon back here. Now, the only thing you have to do, remember, is to take the sawdust off of the guide, because that will throw you off. Okay, and I push that right against the guide. Now, oh yeah. If something's going to go wrong, it will go wrong. Anyway, here we go. What I've got now is 2-inch here, 2-inch angle iron. I used a 3/4 inch and 1 inch, 1.25 inches. So that gives me 2 inches. That's right, because we're going to the outside of the angle iron here. So here we have 0. As soon as you put your first hinge down, your first block down, I now have a 3.5 inch board, because once I cut with my skill saw, it'll be cutting about here. That gives me a 3.5 inch board. And I always cut dimensional. All right, here we go. So there you go. Now we'll take the fence off. There's a flitch. And we'll throw you there for now. And here's my 1x3. Pretty good. Not perfect, but it's pretty darn good. So we'll put that here for now. And now we're going to go to a wider board. 1.5 inches again at my straight edge, my first cut straight edge. And as you can see, I got a little bit of rotwood here. Well, I'm not going to worry too much about this board because so it is. All right, this is only an experimentation board. There you go. Take that first flitch off. Throw that there for now. Put it against my first edge. Now I go 1, that would be a 3.5. 2, that would be a 5.5. Like I said before. Now this, my saw again, is going to cut right about here. So that'll give me a 5.5 inch board. Okay, here we go. Okay, I flip this over, and here's my 1x6. Well, that's about it. Now I can go with this one, I can go up to 1x8. So that'll be 3.5, 5.5, 7.5. Hope you got that. And that's basically it. Deck, cross pieces, so that my board doesn't sit on my deck, so it's above my deck. So when I cut it, the saw misses the deck. Don't want to weaken the deck. And another thing that we've got here, these bolts, we can raise these up and lift this piece of wood right up 3/4 of an inch, bolt it all back down again. So put a spacer all along. I think there's 3 or 4, yeah, 3 of them back there. And then we can cut 2-inch material. For me, that's 1.5 inches, because I just cut dimensional lumber. That's pretty much it for this one. Like I said, this is 3/4 inch angle iron. And what I do here is use the 3-inch hinge. I had lots of them kicking around, so I used them, bolted it all together, and it works to my satisfaction. It's not exactly perfect, but it does work. When you weld these together, you got to be careful to not all weld all in one spot. Weld maybe 3/4 of an inch, skip 2-3 feet, another 3/4 of an inch, and on down the line. Otherwise, you'll get twistage and warping, and that's not what you want. I made one of these out of wood, and it worked, but it was a prototype. This one works much better. All right, I don't know what else I can tell you, but for what it's worth, there it is.